Well, there's an offense out there that I'd like to see a whole lot more out of. They've really only played one half of good football this season. We know who we're talking about?
Oh, gee.
The Chiefs. If we get the second half of the Giants game for the full game this Sunday, like I have zero doubt in my mind that we'll win. Like you give us the team that ran the ball at a good clip effectively and got the ball to Tyquan Thornton, further than 10 or 20 yards down the field. Like, yeah, we'll win this game no problem if the same team that played that second half in New York comes to play in Arrowhead on Sunday.
A little bit of help is coming in for the Chiefs. Xavier Worthy has been a full participant the entire week for the Kansas City Chiefs. I do expect him to be able to play.
That whole thing is a moot point for me now. I'm looking at week 8 for Rashee Rice because this man has a fully torn labrum. I don't care how much he participates in
That's
practice.
fair.
The first full tilt tackle he gets involved with out on the field, homie's gonna melt into a puddle.
That's fair. But he's going to be a good option to have out there. Even if we don't go his way, he's going to be taking away pieces of the defense to allow others to be able to go out there and get separation. He's probably going
especially
to be on a
Taekwon.
limited.
He's
Exactly.
going to
He's
help out
probably going
Taekwon
to
a
be
lot.
on a limited pitch count, but at the end of the day, he's going to be out there, and
Imagine if
his
the
main
Ravens
role.
doubled Tyquan Thornton. He said,
Perfect.
Travis Kelsey. Who? We need to put three guys on Tyquan Thornton, man.
Not only that, but in the
He's
last
not
six
holding up. He's not
meetings,
holding up the one against our DB. Goddamn me.
in the last six meetings, the Kansas City Chiefs are 5-1 against the Ravens. It has not been very good for the Ravens. And we go into our seventh meeting against a quarterback in Lamar Jackson, who is easily, hands down, one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL in the regular season.
Where's he at in the playoffs? I don't know.
But we are getting him in the regular season for now, and the team is very good. The Ravens have given up over 90 points, but under 100 in their first three games. They've also scored over 100 in their first three games, becoming the only team in NFL history who have scored over 100 points in their first three games and not have a winning record. Teams
Add
that have
add
scored
into that
over
the only team in NFL history to rush for over 300 yards in the first three games and have a losing record as well.
the teams who have scored 100 points since the beginning of the Super Bowl era in their first three games have a combined record of like 98-7.
And the Ravens are 1-2.
Yeah, and part of that comes from, let's talk about Derrick Henry for a minute. He is not a fumbler. He has not been known to be a fumbler of the ball. They made a great point in the Monday Night Football game that Derrick Henry has half of the carries that Emmitt Smith has in this point in their career. Derrick Henry, I took a look at this. Derrick Henry also has less than half of the amount of fumbles in half the amount of carries that Emmitt Smith has. Though over the last three games, he's had three fumbles, two of which have ended up costing the Ravens the game. The first one being against the Bills to give the Bills the ball back and Josh Allen a chance to score, to get the go ahead score and win the game. And then this past week, the fumble as they were trying to score to get the go ahead to win the game, and ended up just handing it over, kneel downs, end of game, and they lose to the Lions.
Now, to
So
be fair to Derrick Henry for last week, Aiden Hutchinson made a fantastic play on the ball. 99% of running backs would have fumbled that ball as well.
That's a fair
He
point.
he
we
does have he's having trouble with holding on to the ball this year, but he does not have a fumbling problem like say Ramondre
Historically,
Stevenson. He's not going to
historically,
be
you don't
he's not
think
he doesn't have the
like
yip
this season
like Ramondre
Ramondre
Stevenson
and,
did.
and Derrick Henry like are kind of in the same zone?
you can't
No,
you could
they're
say
different types
historically
of
Derrick Henry
fumbles.
doesn't have that issue, but he could be becoming that as well. He's getting up there in age. He's still able to run the ball very effectively, but at some point, father time comes along, like we've been talking about, and Derrick Henry just could be there.
But
I
so I mean,
understand that, but at the same time, they are different types of fumbles. Derrick Henry is getting it punched out like perfectly. 98% of players would fumble that ball. Ramondre Stevenson, he's just fumbling the ball out of nowhere.
Sean, you look like Shaggy from Scooby Doo,
Thank
right?
you.
With that green shirt today.
Thank you.
Uh,
Oh, next,
look,
let's go.
we saw the Derrick Henry tantrum, right? Like him trying to slam his helmet and like slipping and landing on the bench.
Yes.
We saw that clip. Yes. Asking for verbal response from
Yes,
either one
I
of you
said
No,
two.
yes.
no,
Oh
no.
my
Just
goodness.
I did say yes.
I think he's got some form of the yips, dude. Like he can't even like slam his helmet down the right way on the sideline, dude. Derrick Henry just kind of forgot how to hold on to a football. And yeah, he's got a fumbling problem. One in each of the first 3 games, that's a problem. You go past the number 2, you go past 2 fumbles in 2 games, you hit that third straight game where you got a fumble, you got a problem.
And both of them cost you the game. Yeah, that's a big issue.
That's a problem.
And like it coincides with them also having a bad defense. Now they are missing Kyle Van Noy. He was out on Monday Night Football. He's going to be out again this week. Matabike, the defensive tackle, one of their better defensive tackle, one of the better defensive tackles in the league. He missed Monday. He's going to be out as well. Even though that they were both in for the first 2 games, they've still given up that amount of points. And defensively just have not played well. That does bode well for the Chiefs, especially with our offensive troubles that we've been having. This is the third consecutive week that a coach from the Kansas City Chiefs in a press conference has made a statement about Jawaan Taylor and his penalties, saying that they have to be done. Week 2 press conference pregame was Andy Reid. Week 3, you had Matt Nagy. Now we've got Andy Heck, the offensive line coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, stating this like these penalties must stop and specifically calling out Jawaan Taylor.
What what staff member has to say that before we put in Jalen
I
Moore?
think this is it. We've been saying it for since the beginning of the season. We've been saying it the last couple of weeks. I think this comes down
The
to it.
janitor, like the head janitor or the equipment guy, we'll get him on a press conference and be like, "Look, Jawaan Taylor's penalties, they got to stop. We're putting in Jalen Moore effective immediately." Like, what staff member, how far down the ladder of the Chiefs staff do we have to get before some change is made?
I think we're going to hit it. I think this week is going to hit it because this is also coinciding with other statistics that we've been able to take a look at and see how the rest of the offensive line is playing. And looking at win pressure rates from defenses that we've played against, Jawaan Taylor is the only one who's consistently failing. And a matter of fact, the defenses are blitzing Jawaan Taylor's side more than 25% of plays that are not including his penalties. We have seen tight ends and running backs help on the right side of our offensive line more often than anywhere else along the line. It has to stop. When you're losing as often as he is, when defenses are targeting you as often as they are, and when you're causing that amount of penalties and you're making the rest of the offensive line just look bad because they have to compensate for your side, and it's also affecting the running backs, at some point in time, it has to be called. And I think with this being the game that it is, knowing that the Bills are coming up in about week 7, I believe it is week 6 or 7. Actually, week 8. Sorry. Like this has to be like you have to call it here. This is a game you have to win. This is going to be a team where head-to-head wins is going to matter when it comes to rankings for the playoffs or seedings for the playoffs.
When it comes to Jawaan Taylor, I honestly don't think this is the week that Jalen Moore steps in. Mainly because who the hell do the Ravens have rushing on that side of the ball, dude? They don't have nobody. This is basically going to be a get right game for Jawaan Taylor, and he's going to get like a couple more games of good graces from the coaching staff. This is going to be a good game, and then if he falls back into old habits, then we might see the discussion around Jalen Moore resurface. But I honestly think this game we might not have a whole lot to complain about because who on that Ravens defense is going to be coming from on that side. Like, tell
We
me
said
who.
that
That's the
last.
point, though. That's the point, though. Who is going to be rushing the quarterback? They're going to get by Jawaan Taylor. What if he has troubles, has a few penalties in the first half? Are they not going to go straight to Jalen Moore then see if that fixes it?
And they're going to blitz the hell out of him.
I
And
just
not
I
only
don't.
that, again, it's going to come down to
This is a
penalties. This game last year was
get
it.
right game. This is going to be his best game of the season,
It better be.
I hope so. I can only hope so. Like,
and
I
not just like
want
best
him
game of
to
the season
succeed.
so far. This is going to be his best game of the season.
That's not.
He will not recreate. Will not recreate the success he had in the Ravens game this Sunday.
I can only hope so because what we've had to do on the offensive line to mask that feeling when we look at those pressure win rates, the rest of the offensive line is actually doing very well in comparison, or not even in comparison. They're doing very well in all metrics. But when you look at the game film, it looks like they're failing a lot. And part of that probably comes from a lot of the play calls. We saw in the second half of last week's game against the Giants, we went under center quite a bit. We stopped doing the zone reads and we started running ISOs and counters. And I think that helped out quite a bit with the running backs because in the first half, Pop had 3.5 yards per carry or just under, and Kareem had under 2.5 yards per carry. Both ended the game when we started going under center. Pop had 4.5, and Reem ended up with 3.4 yards a carry. So changing that helped a lot, but there has to be a large compensation factor when going along with that. I think a large portion of that has to change schematically as well. Keep going under center. Stop having decisions need to be made, especially when we're looking at just doing zone read left the entire time because the right side of the line sucks because Jawaan Taylor's really bad. But make Pop and make Kareem make a decision right away. There's no other hole you can go through, or follow the backer the blockers on the outside. Get under center, hand the ball off, and let Pacheco do what he does best, which is just run downhill.
That head bob that he has every time he runs.
It's just something that he's missing, man. When he's only 2 yards behind the offensive line and he has to make a decision between what hole he's going through, it's always the wrong decision.
Damn near every time, pretty much now. I don't know what's happened to him. He just is not seeing those holes like he used to. I
That
is
happens
it
when you
from the
miss a
is
full
it from the
season.
injury though? Is that from the injury though as well though?
I think it's a bit of
Scared to
both.
go
When you
back to
miss the
that.
game for a whole season, as we've seen with other players, even if you want to go back to just the position alone and Le'Veon Bell, when he sits out for a year, he came back and didn't play that well in that first year. It took him a lot of time to get the vision back. And then on top of that, the injury, I think there's a little bit of both. And he's running through the holes more timid than he had previously.
He's not popping up and running back to the huddle anymore either. I've not seen that
He's not
in
Pop.
quite a while.
He's not Pop anymore. He's Pac-10.
It's gonna take a lot from the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. Offensively, we're gonna have to be better than we have been. Defensively, we're very strong. That's a side of the ball I'm not worried about. I think rushing the quarterback is going to be weaker than it has been this season, and it hasn't been that great. But that's just because Lamar run very, very effectively.
Chiefs dub.
Chiefs
Easy win.
dub. Let's pick this game real quick here. The Chiefs are at home versus the Ravens. They're 3-point dogs. I think we can all say that we're taking the Chiefs on this game.
Call it, Tommy.